We did talk about boobs, yeah? That's very similar to the other noise you've made before. The guy who made the supercut had your... Yeah.
It's shorthand for horny.
Yeah. What was that last time you made that noise?
Was it like the dominatrix?
About Megara Fury?
Yeah, about dominatrix.
Oh, yeah. Don't shoot me. Yeah, don't. Please do it again, yeah.
That interview was your equivalent of being a sub and having your dominatrix shoot you with a paintball.
I'm actually glad that it was just me and Laura who worked on that interview, because I don't think you two would have anything meaningful to contribute.
Well, let me actually contribute something. So the other day, when Sean was doing the thumbnail, Sean put up like a guy and a girl, and then he was like, "Do you think the sun works?" And I was like, "Well, will people know who they were? Like they are." And they were porn stars, and in unison, both Sean and Ed went, "Yes."
Are you pretending you didn't know who they are?
I'm going to back Ava and say I don't think Ava did know who they were.
I wasn't being like precious or a pick-me.
Demure.
I just, I don't probably watch the same porn as Ed, which is like two.
Stop. Now it's my turn for revenge. Ava, what type of porn do you think Ed watches?
Like two people who are in love.
So the worst kind. They like go out for dinner, like that.
Yeah.
The bit at the beginning of the porn before the porn starts. When the porn that Ed watches,
the main part.
The porn doesn't start. It's just they go out for dinner and then it finishes.
Wait, what happens after that?
Stepdaughter trapped in washing machine, but they love each other.
Someone said stepmom porn would be ruined if you just described it as dad's wife.
Oh.
Dad's wife?
The allure of stepmom porn would be completely... If you refer to that as dad's wife, it wouldn't be as...
Why?
Popular. It sounds worse, doesn't it?
I don't know, does it?
I feel like stepmom's still pretty bad, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's still bad. It's not like...
There was an interview, and I forget this TikToker, but she's really funny. She was interviewing a porn star, and he was talking about when he was doing a scene with two twins who were like doing stuff to each other.
Ooh.
And I was thinking about that, like, that's mental. Because that's your sibling.
That's true. That's incest, isn't it?
Well, in many countries, incest is only if you procreate. So in some countries you can...
Oh, hello, Jeremy Irons.
I think, and I'd have to check it, but when for some reason, when I was with my friends a few weeks ago, we did like a Where's Incest Legal game.
You're planning a holiday.
Because it surprises you. Yeah, right.
It was annoyed that was funny.
Yeah. I think that same-sex sibling sex is legal in Ireland. I remember that being...
Did you hear that, Sean?
Sean's moving back.
Yeah. Because I remember...
No, but this is the Jeremy Irons...
Does it apply to expats?
This is the Jeremy Irons interview, right? Where he's like, well, it cannot be incest because it requires procreation. A man and his son cannot have incestual relations.
Is that when he was concerned about men marrying their sons for tax reasons?
Yeah.
That's why he's opposed to gay marriage.
Just do it. Gaza.
That is actually the first thing on the rundown, to be fair.
What did you ask me?
We were talking about all these horny interview.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't horny. It was a very serious interview.
Yeah.
You wrote a lot of notes during that interview, I noticed.
Well researched. That's a compliment.
When Laura's writing the research notes, she's just been watching like hardcore porn for like a week at the desk.
I went to the Porn Wars last year, and I was researching everything like cheat sheet of all the porn stars, and I was like, this is hell. Sitting with the HR behind me.
I know someone who sits at one of those tables behind who would have come up and been like, nice one, fella.
Porn at work, am I right?
Yeah,
no.
Big fan.
When's the next one? The next one must be pretty soon. You gonna go back?
June. Yeah, why not?
You got that girl who liked you.
That girl who liked me.
There's
the one who was making the eyes at you in the interview.
For
No,
Reddit.
see if they can find
No, I
it.
was also for Reddit
Yeah,
users.
see if they can
If
find
you could
it.
go and find it, and then you tell us which one you think it is. I would say it's really obvious.
It is quite obvious, yeah.
I watched that video recently. It's on the main Joe YouTube, I think. I watched it again recently for the first time. And when you're making that content, when you're so in it, I was not shocked by what of things they were saying.
There was a man who said he had women stub cigarettes out on his head.
Yes, and I just took it like a champ. It's called being a pro.
Yeah.
And there was that guy who stood there for like 5 minutes explaining to you how big his penis was.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What was he called? The bull?
The Irish bull.
Irish bull.
To be fair to him, I mean, if you were to ask Ed about his work, he could talk to you about it for 5 minutes, couldn't he? If it was in a professional setting, he was being interviewed. So, the male porn star, tell me about your work.
Why do you call you the Irish bull?
We're going to talk about my penis, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think it was good. It is far more shocking than I thought it was. I was clutching my pearls watching it.
I think you should go more gonzo with this next one.
And what did that? What? Become a porn star? Okay.
We've got all the camera equipment. We've got the studio.
That would be horrendous.
Yeah, it would be bad.
Very hard to get studio time in here, though, isn't it? That would be the one
They'd make the time.
inhibitor to this.
They'd make the time. I think the production guys would work overtime on that one. Ed's doing what?
The largest crew ever.
The whole office comes down.
Oh my god.
You don't want the crew to be too large because it might emasculate you.
True.
That was a small dick joke.
I got it. No, didn't need explained. Should we talk about my morning?
Well, it didn't take long, did it? I mean, the three of us back and we're already, what's this, 15 minutes in so far?
Yeah, they're going to be annoyed. We have quite a stacked rundown as well.
It's busy. We're going to have to rattle through it.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing on the rundown, for anyone who's not familiar, Ed Campbell's here and Ava Santina's here. I feel like that's kind of a given at this point, but I should have done the intros 15 minutes ago. The first item on the rundown is Ed's morning.
Yes.
So, Ed, tell us about your morning.
You're saying that like I wrote that. Like, well, we're talking about my morning.
Then Ollie will ask me about my morning.
No, I was at, there was a protest outside the Foreign Office this morning in Westminster by a group called NAMOD, which is a grassroots movement of British Jews who are opposed to Israel's action in Gaza. And they were calling for the UK to unfreeze its funding of UNRWA and to an end to the war in Gaza.
Who was there?
So there's about 50 protesters, and people gave various speeches. They brought tents with them that were reminiscent. They said it was to be reminiscent of the kind of refugee settlements, refugee camps rather, in Rafah. Sarah Sultan was there. Yeah, and they were just outside and they're chanting and protesting, giving speeches.
Success?
I think so. As successful as a protest can be.
Yeah, there's been a ceasefire.
Mr. Netanyahu has put down his arms.
What was interesting was I was speaking to one guy, and he was talking about. I was asking how well they were received by other, like the wider Jewish community, because it's the minority. I think it's a minority position within the British Jewish community is like getting involved with this thing, and he's talking about how kind of existential.
Getting involved, but I don't think there's a difference in strength of feeling.
In terms of,
I think most Jewish people I know would like a ceasefire.
Yeah, but in terms of like kind of how vehement. I think, and this guy seemed to suggest there was a difference of opinion with people within the Jewish community at large, and he said he faced like hostility from other Jewish people,
Really?
his own family.
His own family?
Yeah.
That's tough, isn't it?
And so he said, because Israel was such an existential thing, like he said, the community is raised to see Israel as this kind of like this protective thing. Almost, it's like we'll always be safe because we have Israel. And he said they're kind of looking to undo that thinking, and to undo that thinking of you can criticize it as when it does wrong, you can criticize it essentially. And there was an Israeli woman was on a jog past the thing, and she went ballistic.
Oh, really?
Like screaming, like you've lost touch with yourselves, you've lost your identity. And then someone was speaking to her in Hebrew, so I didn't understand the conversation, but it was like a heated discussion for like a good while.
There's definitely a parallel there. about sort of like uncritically engaging with your country. For sure, because it's a refrain you hear over and over again in UK political discourse, right? Which is that if you criticise the actions of the British state or the British government, that is in some way an unpatriotic thing to do. That the patriotic thing is to just sort of mercilessly shag the flag and not think about what could or should be better about your country. Which for me seems to be the complete reverse logic, right? The idea that you criticise your country is because you want it to be better. That is the truer expression of patriotism, right? Is to engage with what your country does rather than uncritically supporting it no matter what happens.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Overnight there was some quite significant news
Big
out
time.
of Gaza. 7 people working for the charity World Central Kitchen were killed in an Israeli strike in Gaza. Just before we started recording, Netanyahu has said that the convoy were hit unintentionally. It happens in war, and we will do everything so that this does not happen again. Now, that's interesting to me because that convoy, various aid groups who work in the region say that they give their coordinates to the IDF when they're moving, when they're travelling around. The IDF know where they're going.
And they had that on this occasion,
and it was quite clearly signposted as well. If you look at I think it's a shell that's hit the top of the vehicle. It looks like there's a big hole in it. It quite clearly says that it's part of the World Kitchen, and they just dropped off 100 tons of aid, I think they said, which is loads.
It is, yeah. I think there was an embassy got bombed as well.
Oh, in Iran.
Yeah, I think it was the Iranian embassy.
They're saying it wasn't that.
In Damascus.
Yeah. But, the Australian PM has been, so they're saying that they would like full accountability, and our Prime Minister is saying that it's deeply worrying. Really
interesting story on The Guardian over the weekend. You see about Alicia Kearns' leaked tape saying that so she's the chair of the Foreign Affairs Select Committee, and she says that the British government's legal advice in relation to what's happening in Gaza is that the IDF is breaking international law in its actions. The reason that they won't publish that legal advice is because if it came out that that's the legal advice they received, then they would be legally required to stop selling arms to Israel. They'd have to stop granting export licenses. The government obviously denies that. But that leaked recording of her saying that, I think it was at like a grassroots Tory event fundraiser thing where she was saying that, which is concerning.
David Cameron as well. He would like a full report from the Israeli government about this. Now, if this happened anywhere else, I would expect that the Foreign Secretary would probably go there and ask to see the evidence themselves or pick up the phone.
Is this a bit like when Jeremy Corbyn said we should send a sample of the Novichok to Russia to ask them to assess whether or not it came from their own biochemical weapons lab? You're asking the Israelis to mark their own homework, basically.
Yeah.
So it was an accident?
Yes.
Yeah, and we trust it was an accident?
Absolutely,
you
perfect.
had their exact coordinates.
Thank you, BB.
You had the exact coordinates of this convoy, the IDF hit it, and now aid organisations are pulling out. And that's an unintended consequence of it. Is it?
Nice.
Is that, I think, that's what they're expecting people to believe. That's what they want people to believe.
Yeah.
Was it on Netanyahu's watch, though? Because was he not undergoing a hernia treatment last night?
Oh, yeah, he was, wasn't he?
Even if it wasn't on Netanyahu's watch, it's that someone in the IDF feels at liberty to do that.
Sorry, I was being facetious. Just to be clear.
You were once again defending Netanyahu.
Yes.
Classic Ava behaviour.
But I think it's people aren't stupid.
Elon Levy's trying to change his tune a little bit as well. I saw him, he's been retweeting a few bits that aren't as pro-Netanyahu as they used to be.
Well, he lost his job, didn't he?
He lost his job because he picked a fight with David Cameron. And as the spokesperson for the Israeli government
Swing
in the
at
UK,
the king, you better not miss.
But, it's a bit like, Elon, I think we got a bit ahead of ourselves there, didn't we?
Big protests as well in Israel.
Yes.
Going for an election, the release of the hostages. I think it's, from what I hear, but it's basically all anyone's talking about in Israel is just release the hostages, release the hostages, release the hostages. Understandably so. And once that happens, I think they are quite keen to get rid of Bibi.
Yeah.
Look, he's tweeting, under international law, hospitals must be protected. He's talking about the Al-Shifa hospital in Gaza, which the World Health Organization has said cannot run in any shape or form as a hospital anymore because it's so obstructed.
Yeah.
Well, when I looked at it, I did think, is that the hospital?
Yeah, it just looks like a fucking flattened multi-level, multi-story car park now, doesn't it?
Yeah. Sky News wrote a piece on it about an hour before we came on, and they were like, Sky News has not been able to verify the World Health Organization's claims, and it was like, did anyone who could see pictures
Yeah.
have a go?
Yeah. That's the other big thing, by the way. They're not allowing journalists into Gaza, right? So,
which is that's the biggest point. But I suppose you could argue with that because I think there's over 100 journalists who've been killed in Gaza now. So perhaps that's why they're not letting anyone in.
It's for your own good. We'll just kill you if you go in there.
If you're an aid worker, if you're a journalist, anyone who could help alleviate the situation, you're not allowed to go in.
Yes, and Al Jazeera is about to be made. Will not be allowed to broadcast anymore in Israel. It's a nice new bill. It's nice that Netanyahu has had time, the Israeli parliament had time to pass a bill paving the way to ban Al Jazeera. You'd think they might have other things to focus on, but it really is the information that is the concern here. It's not the bombing.
People are finding out about it.
Yeah.
That's the one thing we didn't want.
It just sounds like real classic stand-up democratic behaviour from the only democracy in the region. Have you tried being gay anywhere else? Have you tried being a journalist anywhere else?
What the hell is have you tried being gay? That line is absolutely mental.
If you're gay.
Anyway, Sunak's played an absolute blinder on this one because he's doing the sort of hot dog man thing, the hot dog meme where he's like, when we find out who did this, be shocked and saddened.
Actually, I think you should leave. Have you watched it? The hot dog, the show, the hot dog meme.
Sorry, I completely misunderstood you and I thought you were asking me to leave.
Ava, I think you should leave.
I was like, okay.
No.
Have I been?
I'm glad the gang's all back together again.
You've been too pro-BB once again. We've had to edit out all your other pro-BB stuff.
You would not believe how long Sean and Laura have to spend editing this when Ava talks about Gaza.
It's 3 hours.
It's so much propaganda we have to take out.
Well, I'll just say as well, another good moment for Sunak this morning was Sunak's spokesperson. Sunak's spokesperson this morning. So over the last couple of months, you might have heard repeatedly them talk about how it's nothing to do with the weather, the number of asylum seekers that crossed the channel, because the numbers were quite low. When it was very windy and it was rainy, there was nothing to do with the weather. This is just cut through of the Rwanda plan. The Rwanda plan. They're too frightened to come in now. We've done it, boys.
Can I just say, the idea of cut through is already quite a Westminster brained thing.
Yeah.
But the idea that there's cut through for refugees, it's we've got cut through on the Rwanda plan. It's so fucking funny.
Do you know what the aid groups in the refugee camps do? Is they hang out one iPad and they put Politics Live on, and they all just clamber around
distributing the Telegraph.
Don't you come for Politics Live? Because I think that's the one BBC programme that I will hear no shit from.
The one?
Yeah.
It's the only one that books it.
That is not true.
I know it's not true, but I'm just being funny.
It was funny, and that's why it's annoyed me. Back to the
go on.
Refugees.
What were you going to say?
So anyway, the weather has not had any effect whatsoever on the number of people that have been crossing. The numbers have been coming down organically. This morning, Downing Street spokesperson said that due to the sunny weather, the pleasant weather that we've been having, there's been an uptick in the number of asylum seekers seeking to cross the channel. It's like, sort of like that inflation thing that they always go on about, right? It's not their fault when it goes up, but it is their doing when it comes down.
Absolutely, yeah.
Andy Murray is Scottish when he loses and British when he wins.
You're right, it's exactly like that.
Absolutely. Louis Rees-Zammit is Welsh when he joins the IPP NFL programme, and British when he signs for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yes. Cakeism, I think it's called, isn't it? Having your cake and eating it.
Is it?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the...
Cakeism.
I think so.
Yeah, it probably is called that, isn't it? Cakeism.
Is that like being a Baptist?
Is
that like being a Baptist?
What's a Baathist?
No, I don't think. As in a member of the Baath Party in Iraq. Yeah, I don't think. I don't think it's the same. I don't think it's the same.
No, this is like having your refugee and eating him too.
Oh, okay. And using him as a boat?
As what?
A boat.
A boat?
Yeah.
Right. Do you think refugees are funny?
Yeah.
That sort of porn you like?
The ones I met.
Wow.
Are you guys done? Or is there another seaworthy joke to be made before?
Why are you looking at me for
Because
that?
it's you two.
I never made a joke about tits being seaworthy. I think I actually at the time said that I felt quite upset by that joke.
Shut up. No, you did not.
Only because it didn't apply to me.
It's just classic historical revisionism
Absolutely.
from Ava Santina.
We're against that.
Very much so. Ava, what's the latest from the north of Ireland?
Well, on Good Friday, but now that will be known as Bad Friday, Jeffrey Donaldson resigned as leader of the DUP after he was charged with rape and other historical sexual offences. So he stood down after this case came to light, happened in a couple of hours. Well, actually, it started the day we didn't know who it was, and then by about midday, he had resigned, and Gavin Robinson took his place. Now, Gavin Robinson's had a really hard couple of days because he's been going out and about on the broadcast round to explain to people that we shouldn't politicise Sir Jeffrey Donaldson's charge, and we shouldn't be, we shouldn't be trying to make hay out of it. But also, interesting little loophole, which is that Sir Jeffrey Donaldson can still walk around Parliament, because if you remember, the Conservatives did not pass new legislation that would mean if an MP had been charged with a sexual offence, they would not be allowed to attend the chamber. So he can still vote and he can still walk around.
So
Good
he
luck.
obviously strenuously